In the beginning, Earth was nothing like the vibrant world we know today. It was a hostile sphere of fire and rock, battered by constant meteor impacts and wrapped in an atmosphere thick with toxic gases. No sunlight could penetrate the dense clouds of ash. No creature could survive the searing heat. For millions of years, the planet was a battlefield of violent storms, molten landscapes, relentless geological chaos. But slowly, the world began to change. As the surface cooled, steam condensed into rain, endless rain that fell for centuries. These rains gathered into vast oceans, forming a cradle for something extraordinary. Beneath the waves, deep-sea hydrothermal vents roared like underwater volcanoes, releasing minerals and chemical energy into the darkness. Here, in this hidden world, simple molecules collided again and again, guided not by intention but by chemistry and chance. And then it happened, life sparked. From these chaotic interactions emerged the first self-replicating molecule, a tiny structure capable of making copies of itself. This was Luca, the last universal common ancestor, the microscopic origin of every plant, animal, fungus, and human that would ever exist. From one fragile spark came the entire tree of life. As we explore this incredible journey from barren rock to a living planet, consider how unlikely, how miraculous, and how deeply inspiring our origins truly are. If you enjoy stories that reveal the hidden wonders of our world, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more fascinating journeys through time, science, and the mysteries of life itself. For a long stretch of Earth's history after Luca emerged in the deep oceans, life remained astonishingly simple, almost quiet in its persistence. The planet itself continued to shift and reshape. Continents drifting, climates rising and falling. Yet beneath all these dramatic changes, life clung on in the form of tiny single-celled organisms. These early beings floated through ancient seas, multiplied, adapted, and survived in ways that now seem almost unimaginable. They had no eyes, no limbs, no nervous systems, yet they endured global ice ages, volcanic upheavals, and cosmic impacts, holding on to existence through sheer resilience. Their world was one of chemical gradients, shifting temperatures, and slow, relentless evolution that unfolded over spans of time far beyond human comprehension. Every small mutation, every tiny adaptation, was like a step taken on a road no one could see, leading toward a future no one could predict. As the planet stabilized and oceans deepened, these microscopic pioneers began to diversify. Some learned to harness sunlight, releasing oxygen that would slowly transform the atmosphere and make the world more hospitable for new forms of life. Others developed more efficient ways to extract energy from their surroundings. And over countless generations, collaboration and competition shaped them into increasingly complex beings. The stage was being set for something extraordinary. Though the organisms themselves had no awareness of it, they simply lived, adapted, and responded to their environment, unaware that they were laying the foundation for an explosion of diversity that would forever change Earth's story. Then, roughly 540 million years ago, the oceans experienced a burst of creativity unlike anything that had come before. In what scientists now call the Cambrian explosion, life blossomed into a dazzling array of forms. Creatures with shells, spines, legs, and eyes appeared seemingly out of nowhere, filling the seas with predators and prey locked in a dynamic dance of survival. Vision evolved in several lineages, transforming the ocean from a place of blind drifting into a world of hunting, hiding, chasing, and escaping. Some animals crawled across the seafloor, others swam gracefully through the water, and still others built protective armor to shield themselves from new threats. This sudden surge of complexity marked a turning point that set evolution on a dramatic and irreversible path. From that moment on, life never stopped experimenting. Forests rose and fell. Giant insects dominated ancients. Marine reptiles conquered the oceans, while dinosaurs ruled the land for more than 150 million years. Mammals waited in the shadows, small and unremarkable, until an asteroid impact ended the age of giants and opened the door for their rise. Through every triumph and catastrophe, evolution continued its slow, patient work, refining creatures to fit their ever-changing world. Entire lineages vanished while others flourished, creating a tapestry of life so intricate that even today, its full depth is still being uncovered. And through all of this vast history, humans appeared only in the final moments, not as rulers from the start but as another fragile species shaped by time, environment, and countless random events. If Earth's entire 4.5 billion year history were compressed into a single 24-hour day, all of human existence would occupy just the last few seconds before midnight. The winding path from single-celled organisms to conscious beings capable of questioning their own origins was not inevitable. It was the result of an unbroken chain of survival stretching across nearly every moment in Earth's timeline. Understanding this journey connects us not only to the distant past, but to every living creature that shares our world today. All descendants of that first spark that ignited in the deep, dark ocean so long ago. As the story of life continued to unfold over billions of years, the path from simple cells to complex organisms eventually led to creatures capable of sensing, communicating, and shaping their surroundings in ways that hinted at a deepening awareness. This long evolutionary journey set the stage for the emergence of primates, beings with sharp eyes, clever hands, and intricate social bonds. They lived in forests rich with danger and opportunity, where survival depended not only on instinct but on learning, cooperation, and subtle forms of intelligence passed from one generation to the next. Among these primates were the ancestors of chimpanzees, whose lineage branched away from ours millions of years ago, yet continued to evolve minds remarkably attuned to the rhythms of their world. Their story is inseparable from our own, for it reflects the same ancient forces of natural selection, adaptation, and social evolution that shaped humanity. Centuries later, when humans had risen to create communities, languages, and cultures, the true depth of our connection to other primates remained largely hidden. Many believed that humans stood apart, defined by abilities no other creature could match. That belief began to shift when a young researcher named Jane Goodall stepped into the forests of Gombe with little more than patience, curiosity, and an unwavering desire to understand the animals she observed. She did not approach them as objects of study, but as individuals with lives and emotions of their own. Over time, she gained their trust, allowing her to witness moments that would challenge long-standing assumptions about the divide between humans and the rest of the natural world. In the quiet corners of the forest, she saw chimpanzees shaping sticks into tools, using them to extract termites from mounds. This single observation was enough to unsettle scientific beliefs, for tool use had long been considered one of the key traits that distinguished humans. Yet here were chimpanzees, crafting instruments with deliberate intention, proving that ingenuity was not exclusive to our species. Jane also observed their emotional landscape in striking detail. She saw mothers comforting their young, individuals forming friendships, and older members receiving gentle care from companions. She witnessed expressions of joy during reunions and moments of grief when a group member died, revealing an emotional complexity that resonated with something deeply familiar. Her discoveries reached far beyond academic circles. They sparked a transformation in how people understood animal intelligence, prompting a revaluation of what it meant to be human. The behaviors she recorded: cooperation, empathy, conflict, and even acts of aggression showed that the foundations of our own social patterns were not sudden human inventions, but extensions of ancient evolutionary roots shared with other primates. These revelations bridged millions of years of separation and illuminated the subtle threads connecting modern humans to the creatures that walked similar paths long before our arrival. Jane's work also shed light on the darker aspects of chimpanzee society. She observed territorial disputes, alliances formed for dominance, and complex strategies that resembled the earliest forms of organized conflict. These scenes, though unsettling, were essential to understanding the full spectrum of their nature. They reminded us that evolution does not mold life into perfection but into adaptability, shaping creatures to navigate the realities of survival. In their triumphs and struggles, chimpanzees embodied both the tenderness and the tension that mark many social species, including our own. Through decades of immersion in their world, Jane Goodall offered a window into a lineage that mirrors us more closely than most imagine. Her research did not diminish humanity but instead placed us back into the grand tapestry of life, revealing that our intelligence, emotions, and social bonds are not anomalies but chapters in a far older narrative. By understanding chimpanzees, we come to understand ourselves, recognizing that the story of life on Earth is one continuous journey, shaped by countless generations that carried the spark of adaptation forward long before humans stepped into the final moments of the evolutionary timeline. As the understanding of life's complexity deepened through discoveries like those of Jane Goodall, another pivotal moment in humanity's effort to comprehend its origins could be traced back to a young naturalist who stepped aboard a ship long before modern science had taken shape. Charles Darwin, curious and meticulous, embarked on the Ems Beagle without knowing that the observations he would make over the following years would reshape the way people perceive the natural world. His journey took him across oceans, through rugged landscapes, and into environments where life displayed a remarkable diversity that seemed to defy simple explanation. Each place he visited offered new clues. Yet it was the isolated Galapagos Islands that would quietly guide his thoughts toward a revolutionary idea. The islands held creatures that looked familiar yet subtly different from their mainland relatives. Finches with distinctive beaks, tortoises with varying shell shapes, and iguanas adapted to land or sea filled the landscape with forms that seemed tailored to their unique environments. Darwin noticed patterns that suggested connection rather than coincidence, instead of appearing as fixed, unchanging creations. These animals showed signs of having adapted over long periods of time. The differences were too purposeful to be random, yet too gradual to result from sudden events. These observations stirred questions that had rarely been asked with such depth. Could species change? And if, how did these changes accumulate across generations? As he studied samples, notes, and sketches collected during the voyage, Darwin began shaping a theory rooted not in speculation but in careful observation. He realized that in every population, individuals varied subtly from one another, and some possessed traits that offered small advantages: sharper senses, stronger limbs, more efficient ways of finding food, or better camouflage. These advantages improved their chances of surviving and raising offspring, allowing those useful traits to become more common over time. It was a slow process, almost invisible from one generation to the next, but powerful enough over millions of years to carve the immense diversity of life that filled the Earth. This idea, which he called natural selection, offered an explanation for biological change that did not rely on fixed, predetermined forms. Instead, it described a dynamic world where life responded to shifting conditions, evolving as environments changed. It suggested that the same forces shaping finches and tortoises had shaped every living being, from ancient ocean creatures to modern mammals. It connected humanity to the long, winding journey of life that had begun billions of years earlier in the planet's primordial seas. Darwin hesitated to publish his theory, aware that it challenged long-held interpretations about the origins of living beings. Yet his goal was not to create conflict, but to offer a framework supported by evidence gathered over years of exploration. reflection, and analysis. When he finally released his work, it sparked intense discussion, inspiring scientists to investigate the natural world with renewed curiosity. His ideas opened doors to new fields of study: genetics, ecology, paleontology, each expanding on the foundation he built. Over time, as discoveries accumulated, natural selection became a central principle that unified the study of biology. Darwin's insights did more than explain how species change. They connected every living organism to a shared past shaped by adaptation, struggle, and resilience. His work echoed the same story revealed by ancient fossils, by the behavior of chimpanzees, and by the earliest spark of life deep in Earth's oceans. It formed another chapter in the long narrative of evolution, a story not of sudden creation or static forms, but of gradual transformation across unimaginable spans of time. Through his observations on the Galapagos Islands, Darwin provided a lens through which humanity could understand its place in the vast continuum of life, enriching the tale that began with single-celled organisms and continues to unfold with every new discovery. Across the immense timeline of Earth's history, the forces that shaped the earliest cells and guided the rise of complex organisms continue to influence every corner of the living world. Natural selection, the gradual but persistent mechanism described by Darwin, worked tirelessly through countless generations, molding species in ways both subtle and profound. Its effects could be seen not only in distant lineages or ancient fossils but also in everyday creatures whose features held stories of adaptation written across their bodies. Among these, the zebra offered one of the most elegant examples, its striking black and white stripes serving as a visual reminder that evolution is not merely a concept of the past, but an active process that continues to sculpt life today. In the open savannas where zebras roam, danger does not always come from large predators. Some of the greatest threats are tiny, persistent insects whose bites can transmit diseases capable of weakening or killing entire herds. Among them, the tsetse fly poses a particularly serious challenge. These insects are drawn to movement and to the dark shapes of large mammals, and over thousands of years, their presence exerted pressure on zebra populations. Small advantages became crucial. Any trait that helped reduce bites, avoid infection, or minimize contact with these insects could influence which individuals survived long enough to raise offspring. Gradually, slight variations in coat patterns appeared within early equine ancestors. Some displayed faint striping. Others formed irregular patterns that differed from the solid coats common among related species. These markings did more than decorate the animals. They interacted with the visual systems of tsetse flies, disrupting the insect's ability to lock onto the zebras as targets. The stripes created an optical effect that made it harder for the flies to land accurately, reducing the number of bites and improving the animal's chances of staying healthy. Over generations, individuals with clearer, more contrasting patterns survived at higher rates, passing their distinctive markings to their young. What began as subtle striping slowly developed into the bold black and white patterns we recognize today. The evolution of the zebra's stripes is a living demonstration of Darwin's ideas brought into sharp focus. It shows how survival is influenced by countless small decisions made not by individuals but by the pressures of the environment. Each generation becomes a tiny chapter in a longer story, where beneficial traits are refined through time, leading to adaptations that become defining characteristics of an entire species. In the zebra's case, the stripes did more than protect against insects. They helped unify the herd visually, confused predators during movement, and may have played roles in social recognition and temperature regulation. Evolution rarely produces traits with a single purpose. Instead, it takes advantage of opportunities, shaping features that solve multiple challenges at once. This pattern of gradual change mirrors the journey of life from its earliest stages. Just as simple molecules found stability in forming membranes and eventually gave rise to the first cell, And just as early animals flourished during the Cambrian explosion by adapting to new ecological roles, the zebra followed a path guided by survival, competition, and opportunity. Its story reflects the same principles observed in the behavior of chimpanzees and in Darwin's observations on the Galapagos Islands. Life does not remain static. It explores possibilities, tests boundaries, and responds to both subtle and dramatic shifts in the environment. In understanding how something as visually striking as a zebra's coat came to be, we reconnect with the broader narrative that traces life from its fragile beginnings in deep-sea vents to the diverse tapestry of species that inhabit the world today. Each adaptation, whether found in a microscopic cell or a large mammal, is a testament to the resilience and creativity of evolution, reminding us that the forces shaping the natural world are ongoing, intricate, and profoundly interconnected. Among the countless innovations that emerged as life diversified, few transformed the living world as profoundly as the evolution of vision. Long before zebras developed stripes to confuse biting insects, or before Darwin traced patterns of adaptation across distant islands, there existed a far older struggle unfolding beneath the surface of ancient seas. In those dim waters, long before vertebrates or even complex animals roamed the ocean floor, life relied on the gentlest hints of its surroundings' chemical signals, currents, and the presence of light that filtered down from above. It was in this subtle glow that the earliest beginnings of vision took shape, providing a foundation that would eventually drive one of the most intense evolutionary arms races the planet had ever seen. At first, the ability to sense light offered only modest advantages. Simple cells capable of distinguishing brightness from darkness allowed early organisms to move towards safer or more productive environments. These primitive light-sensitive patches could not form images, yet they marked a profound step, a shift from reacting purely by instinct to responding to the world with awareness. However limited, as generations passed, natural selection favored organisms whose light-detecting cells developed curvature, forming shallow pits that could detect the direction from which light came. This enhancement allowed them to navigate more effectively, avoid danger, and locate food with greater precision. In a world where survival often depended on responding quickly, even small improvements in perception carried significant weight. Over immense stretches of time, these pits deepened, narrowed, and eventually formed enclosed chambers with tiny openings that sharpened the patterns of incoming light. The development of lenses allowed light to focus, producing clearer images and giving rise to eyes capable of revealing shapes, movement, and distance. With every improvement came new opportunities, and each opportunity encouraged further refinement. Creatures that could see better found food more efficiently, evaded threats more effectively, and competed with greater confidence. Their descendants inherited these advantages, and vision became an increasingly dominant force shaping the direction of evolution. But the rise of vision did not lead to a peaceful world of observational learning. Instead, it ignited a cascade of adaptations that rippled across entire ecosystems. When predators gained sharper sight, prey evolved better camouflage or swifter movement. When prey learned to detect shadows or silhouettes, predators developed new strategies, such as ambush techniques or cooperative hunting. This constant push and pull encouraged creativity in nature, leading to an array of forms and behaviors that filled the oceans, seas, and lands with remarkable variety. The arms race created creatures with astonishing visual abilities, from insects that perceive ultraviolet patterns to birds that track movement with extraordinary accuracy, and mammals whose eyes adapt seamlessly to shifting light conditions. Vision shaped not only how organisms survived but how they interacted. Colors became signals, guiding mating rituals or social bonding. Patterns evolved into warnings or invitations. Even the dramatic flourish of stripes on a zebra can be traced back to a world where sight was powerful enough to influence the success of a species. The development of eyes added layers of complexity to ecosystems, making relationships between species more dynamic and interconnected. Every improvement in one lineage created ripple effects in others, contributing to the rich tapestry of life that continued to expand across the planet. This deep history echoes through the stories of early humans who relied on vision to navigate shifting landscapes, recognize threats, and interpret the behavior of other animals. It connects to the work of scientists like Darwin, who recognized the power of adaptation, and to modern researchers who uncover the intricate pathways through which simple light-sensitive cells became organs of extraordinary sophistication. The evolution of eyes stands as a testament to the creative force of natural selection, a force that shaped life not through sudden leaps, but through countless generations of small, meaningful changes. Through understanding this journey, we gain insight into how every living creature, from ancient marine animals to the primates studied by Jane Goodall, became part of a continuous story shaped by the desire to see, survive, and adapt in an ever-changing world. Long before humans studied the origins of life or tried to trace the winding path that led from single-celled organisms to the complexity of modern species, ancient seas and primeval landscapes were already stages for extraordinary transformations. The Cambrian period, emerging after millions of years of quiet evolution, marked one of the most dramatic bursts of innovation the planet had ever witnessed. It was a time when life, having experimented with simple forms for ages, suddenly explored a vast range of possibilities. Hard shells, jointed limbs, intricate eyes, and new methods of movement appeared in a geological instant. Predator and prey engaged in an escalating cycle of adaptation, as each new advantage triggered another in response. This was not merely diversification, but a creative explosion that filled the oceans with forms so unusual and imaginative that many seem almost alien to modern eyes. Strange creatures with spines, armor plates, grasping appendages, and elaborate sensory organs thrived, each shaped by the relentless pressure to survive in a world where danger lurked in every shadow. The evolutionary arms race that began in these ancient waters became a recurring theme throughout Earth's history, resurfacing again and again as new groups of animals rose to prominence. Millions of years after the Cambrian seas had teemed with fantastical creatures, dinosaurs emerged to dominate the land, inheriting the same ancient legacy of competition and adaptation. Their world was dynamic and challenging, shaped by shifting climates, evolving plants, and a wide array of predators and prey. Fossil evidence, especially the structure of their eyes, suggests that many species were not creatures of blazing daylight but navigators of darkness. Their large pupils, specialized rods, and orbital shapes reveal a capacity for low-light vision that allowed them to hunt, search for food, or avoid danger under the cover of night. This nocturnal behavior added another layer to their survival strategies, creating a complex landscape where some thrived under the sun while others mastered the mysteries of nighttime. The idea of dinosaurs moving silently through moonlit forests connects them to the same evolutionary pressures that shaped early Cambrian animals. In both, being able to sense a predator or remain unseen by one offered profound advantages. Those who could adapt to darkness found opportunities unavailable to their daylight-only counterparts. Just as creatures during the Cambrian who developed better vision or more effective defensive structures gained the upper hand, evolution acted as an ever-present sculptor, refining traits that enhanced survival while letting others fade into extinction. Every new adaptation became part of a larger story, linking creatures of the night to the ancient competitors of the deep ocean. As these patterns repeated over millions of years, life diversified further. Some dinosaurs evolved feathers that helped regulate temperature or enhance display, hinting at the future rise of birds. Others grew immense size or specialized diets, each responding to challenges presented by their environments. Yet even these powerful creatures were vulnerable to shifts in climate. geological changes, and catastrophic events, demonstrating once again that evolution offers no guarantees, only opportunities for those capable of adapting. The same relentless forces that once drove Cambrian organisms to innovate continued to shape every lineage, from the giants of the Mesozoic to the mammals that would later emerge in their absence. This continuity between eras highlights a deeper truth about the natural world. It is never static. The same pressures that produced bizarre Cambrian creatures also molded nocturnal dinosaurs, early primates with growing intelligence, and the ancestors of modern humans who learned to master their surroundings with sight, tools, and cooperation. Each adaptation, whether a sharpened sense for navigating darkness or a protective shell formed hundreds of millions of years earlier, represents a response to the demands of survival. Together, these stories form a single, interconnected narrative, a chronicle of life forever shaped by competition, creativity, and the unending dance between predator and prey. Across the long arc of life's history, every species, ancient or modern, has carried within it the echoes of both conflict and compassion. Evolution was never a straight path built only on strength or domination. It was shaped just as profoundly by alliances, social bonds, and the ability to recognize value in others. We can see this dual legacy clearly in our closest relatives. Chimpanzee warfare, for instance, reveals that coordinated aggression is not a recent invention, but a strategy deeply rooted in the survival challenges faced by early hominids. Groups formed, territories mattered, and cooperation within a tribe could decide whether a community thrived or vanished. These patterns remind us that competition has long been part of the fabric of life. Yet just as powerful are the moments that reveal the opposite. The tenderness, protection, and solidarity that also shaped our species. In the wild, chimpanzees have been seen adopting unrelated young, sharing food with the injured, and forming lifelong friendships that provide emotional security. These behaviors are not random acts of kindness, they are evolutionary strategies that helped individuals and groups endure uncertainty and hardship. Empathy strengthened communities, and cooperation increased survival odds. When early humans inherited these instincts, they carried forward a template for societies built not only on resilience but on connection. As the story of evolution unfolded, these intertwined forces, struggle and support, rivalry and unity, guided the growth of our ancestors. They shaped our ability to solve problems together, to build families and cultures, and to imagine futures beyond the limits of the present. The journey of life is not just a chronicle of adaptation to danger, but a testament to the power of shared purpose. Every triumph of our species is rooted in this balance, the drive to persevere and the capacity to care. And so, as we reach the end of this exploration, we are invited to look at ourselves through this wider lens, not only as individuals moving through a challenging world, but as part of a long lineage that survived because it learned to combine courage with compassion. The same forces that shaped ancient creatures are still alive in us today, influencing the choices we make, the bonds we form, and the values we carry forward. Thank you sincerely for spending your time here, for your curiosity, and for your willingness to journey through these layers of deep history. If you enjoyed this story and want to explore more about the hidden patterns that shaped our world and ourselves, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Your support helps these stories continue, and I would be grateful to have you along for the next chapter.